What is up, guys? Today we will be discussing top 5 reasons why the 2020 college football season will not happen. Now, obviously, as a college football fan, I've been trying to stay optimistic, but these are just 5 hard facts to look at, and it just doesn't look too good for college football. And then after this, I'll be doing a 5 reasons why college football season will happen, trying to look at the positives. But right now, it seems like these reasons are going to outweigh the reasons for the season. And anyways, at number 1, we have the MLB. So the MLB recently tried to have their season, and within the first week, you had the Marlins go down with plenty of positive tests, and the Cardinals, and then the teams they play can't show up against other teams because they devised no bubble whatsoever. So you have all these teams from all different parts of the country traveling all around, like no time in between. They're playing back to back, the travel, then they're playing again. So that's a little bit different. But still, the bottom line is, without a bubble, you're gonna have positive tests because these players are going to be exposed to other people, and these other people can carry the virus. Also, these are going to be college students and college athletes. So these players are going to be on campuses with thousands of other college students, and that puts them at a much higher risk. And on top of that, they're college students. So there are going to be parties like what we saw at Rutgers, all those players who got tested positive from the parties. So it's just not a good situation there. At number 2, we have star players sitting out the season. Now, we have already seen a bunch of players that are sitting out, but some of the star players now are sitting out for the draft. And some players we've seen are Rashad Bateman, one of the top wide receivers for Minnesota, probably the best wide receiver in the Big Ten, either him or Rondale Moore. Micah Parsons recently said he will be opting out of this season, one of the best linebackers in the nation, in my opinion, the best linebacker in the nation. And then we have, I believe it was a cornerback. I believe it was a cornerback or safety from Virginia Tech, projected first-round draft pick. I forget his name. But yeah, he is also sitting out. So that's 3 big guys, and then I expect this to just pile on. Now, the 2 big names that everyone's talking about are the 2 starting quarterbacks for Ohio State and Clemson, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Those guys have a huge platform and a huge audience. So if those 2 guys sat out the season, it would be a huge blow for the college football season in general. And then at number 3, we have Offseason Controversies. Now, this offseason has been one unlike any other. But when I talk about offseason controversies, I'm talking about like the situation at Iowa and how bad that situation is right now, and just all the uncertainties in how the players are being treated. Also at Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy wearing that radical radio podcast shirt or whatever, and then Chuba Hubbard, starting running back, was not for it at all, said some tweets about it. And then we have, staying in the Big 12, Gary Patterson for TCU saying the N-word to a player, not referring to the player, but still just saying it. And then he said it in a team meeting. All the players left. They were not about that at all. So you really just have a lot of things that need to be addressed and dealt with before you can even start to talk about football, just as far as how these players are being treated and what's good for them. And at number 4, we have the Ivy Leagues. They already just canceled football, all fall sports. And then the first FBS D1 school, I believe the first FBS football team to cancel their season completely was UConn. They just said, no, we're not going to have a football season. So that's going to be tough. And then the scheduling, when you look at the Power 5 teams, yeah, they'll be okay. They'll have good revenue when they're playing all within their conferences. But you look at these Group of 5 schools, how are they going to get the revenue? If all their they don't get to play these non-conference games where they go in to play these big schools like Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State, and get $700,000 just for going into these playing games. And then on top of that, they don't get these. For example, the American Conference, they know their top tier teams, Memphis, UCF, Houston, SMU. They always play these big Power 5 teams, and that's how they can get respect for their conference and also revenue. Like Memphis, they beat Ole Miss. UCF, they beat Stanford. SMU beat TCU. Just these games like this. So from revenue standpoint, these group of 5 schools are not going to be coming away with a lot of money, especially with their TV deals and competing with Power 5 games. It's just going to be hard for these schools to make any money. And lastly, we have the Pac-12 players agreement. And basically, these are just a bunch of Pac-12 players issuing some reasons why they kind of set out a statement saying if these are not met, then we will not play. For example, they want to have the option to not play in the pandemic without losing eligibility or spot on team rosters. They kind of want some refunding of where the money is going. They're actually trying to say take money away from football and give it to some of these other smaller sports so that they can still continue with the season. And then they also want a Pac-12 Black College Athletic Summit with guaranteed representation of at least 3 athletes of our choice from every school. So they kind of want a union just pushing for that racial equality. And Pac-12 has been compliant with some things, but you saw at Washington State, one of their wide receivers literally got kicked off the team for being a part of this. So that's just not a good situation there at all. And yeah, so with all these reasons that I've just laid out, college football season in 2020 is looking very, very rough. Very rough. But we have to be optimistic, and hopefully they can find a way to safely play a college football season